Let's get on with the program. We appreciate your support all the time. May I acknowledge the presence of the Minister of Education, my cabinet colleagues that are here today, and I'll go straight to also acknowledging the Chancellor, Council Chair, Vice Chancellor, all the leaders of Zika University in their respective responsibilities or roles. We appreciate your presence. May I also express our appreciation to the presence of those that work for the public sector, central government through Secretary of Cabinet, local government. I'm aware that the Commercial Secretary General is here. Madam, thank you for being present. Also members of the diplomatic corps that are present in this hall today. We appreciate your presence. May I also indicate that the Secretary General of our UPND is present. I know people don't appreciate the importance of this party. Without it, I would have never been president of this country. So we appreciate this party. And this is the way our constitution is structured, is framed. The presidents will come through political parties. I think it's important to appreciate that. May also appreciate, we love you too. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. May I also express or indicate the presence of the teaching staff, lecturers from the Zika University, but also vice chancellors, lecturing staff from other universities and colleges. I see that there are a number of them. We do appreciate. Of course. These Unza Momas and the monks, let's be together. Yes. We recognize all of those that spend time imparting their knowledge into students. But let me acknowledge graduates of Zika University, students of Zika University, and students from various universities and colleges, including those Mormons and monks up there. We acknowledge your presence. May I also indicate that it is important to acknowledge the press. The press do a great job all the time. Today, Lusaka is aware of what we're doing, this special convocation. But through the media, the nation is aware, the world is aware. So we must appreciate the media. May I simply say, ladies and gentlemen, this honor comes to this fellow with gratitude. Absolute gratitude to receive this honorary PhD of the Zika University is a humbling occasion, absolute humbling occasion. And I want to say that I accept the gratitude, this honor, on behalf of my dear wife and 3 children. On behalf of the extended family which raised us. As you know, a child of the village is raised by more than the mother and father. They're raised by the extended family, by the community. So we accept this honor on their behalf, some dead, some alive. More importantly, we accept this honor on behalf of the people of Zambia, 21 million citizens of Zambia. It is important to acknowledge and to thank Chancellor, you Chancellor, to thank the Council, Zika's Council, Coast Board, Vice Chancellor, and your management, your leadership. Today we are talking about effective leadership. Leadership of this university management must be acknowledged for the strides that we have achieved at this young university, young in age in terms of formalities of creation. But the related institution has been there for a long time. So we want to thank you all, the faculty, of course, and the students. As I said, I see a number of them seated there, Zika's students. We want to thank you for behaving yourselves well to allow the leadership management of Zika's University to do what it's supposed to do. As a former student, I know what students can do to the lecturing staff if they don't do certain things properly. I know. I was one of the Viva students myself, so I understand what I'm talking about. Thank you very much. Thank you. I do not take this honor lightly. We take this honor seriously. Seriously. This is not a joke. Out of 21 million citizens, this fellow has no special right to receive this honor. The fact that it's been conferred on us, we take it with both hands, with responsibility and also restraint, to make sure that we retain the dignity associated with this honor. Chancellor and your team and Vice Chancellor, you can count on this fellow that we will take nothing away from the overall respect and honor that the university has carried on and continues to carry. I must say, to get this honor has been a collective journey. Dedicated family. I always say I'm fortunate to have found a partner in my wife. A partner can make you or break you. I'm very fortunate. And I want to say that to be able to receive this honor, my wife and 3 children have played a critical role. Some of my times, difficult times in the political life, my kids were very young, and my wife was always there to make sure that she led the family with a semblance of a complete family while I was out most of the time. And also, before politics, through the professional career, I traveled a lot as a young professional. I traveled the world a lot, doing, of course, school, but also further education, but also working. I'm a lucky individual that I got exposed to international workstations at a young stage. And really, you appreciate that only later in years, that you were able to interact with different types of people from different backgrounds across the world. But the most important thing, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, one came up with, you realize the importance of the foundation of the Zambian educational system, because you weren't second to anyone. You were one amongst peers anywhere in the world. And I think credit must be given to all the institutions of learning, if you want to call them teaching, in the country for many, many years. These are the little things that you don't pay attention to. But when you sit in a team of professionals outside of your country, you realize that you are actually not second rate to anybody. Then you reflect on your journey. You reflect on the schools you went to, and those that taught you, lectured you in an ordinary situation, but actually developed you as a human being. So I want to say that is appreciated. I want to appreciate various colleagues, friends, in their diversity for their contribution to today's event. Citizens, I have already said, one cannot deliver nothing without those around you, the community, the citizen, the citizenry, and the nation that breeds you or bred you. I say breeds because it's a continuous improvement. It's not an event, it's a process. So I want to acknowledge their contributions in that manner. I think it's important to say, I know Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, you did touch on issues of resilience. When we go through challenging times, we don't say, I want to be resilient. No, you just do what is right, what needs to be done. And then over time, it compounds into a pattern of doing things even under great stress or difficult. And then it culminates into what others may see and call resilience. It's really embedded in a human being, in a person. It's not something that you always say, today I want to act in a resilient way. No, no, no. It just becomes your character to do things as society or environment dictates. So yes, resilience is a very important issue. Always keeping one's hopes high is very important. State of mind, psychological state of mind. If your mind says you will fail here, probably you're going to fail. If your mind says we will succeed, no matter how difficult the situation is or the challenges confronting us, you are likely to succeed. Very important. Very important. So the determination to get things done, especially the correct things, is extremely important. And one of my decision, Chancellor and Vice Chancellor, was just to extract a few themes of what we've gone through as a person, and that may be relevant to someone else seated here or listening to this special convocation and, of course, the confinement that has taken place. I think it's important that we define leadership properly. We must define leadership properly. The meaning of leadership, true leadership, is not about titles. It's not about the label on the desk we sit. Absolutely not. It's not about what people say or you think you are, therefore you want people to say you are what you want to be called. No. It is what you do with the office or the opportunity that you are privileged to have. It is what you do with it. It is not what the title is saying or the placard, name card. Extremely important. Leadership is about service. It's about service. Leadership is about responsibility. As a student leader, don't lead your fellow students to go out and break cars. Innocent motorists who have nothing to do with your situation, you decide to vent your anger on innocent people. No. Leadership at that level is to say, we have a challenge, let's dialogue. Let's see in an organized way who is responsible for our situation. It's XYZ. Let's meet them. Let's have a conversation. Let's have dialogue. At that early age, it is important to see and understand leadership in that way. I must say, at the level that you citizens allowed me to perform, leadership has everything to do with improving the welfare of citizens. You may not see it in one activity, such as what? Such as debt restructuring. You may not see it, it's about improving lives, creating opportunities for citizens. You may not see it when we say to our cadres in the UPND, you will not do what cadres before us did, such as what? To charge people in markets, a poor woman working very hard, a widow, to raise a family, to feed their children. They have a market store. Then you go out there extorting illegal taxes, I want to call them, on them, to cause violence in a market. You may not see the connection. The connection is that if the mother cannot trade in the market, she cannot sell her 10 boxes of tomato that day because you have disrupted her business activity. It means that she may not provide a meal for her children at dinner time. And if she doesn't do that, it means that child may also not be able to go to school the following day. You can see where I'm going. Every aspect, conduct of leadership, in leadership position, is about improving someone's life, making someone's life more comfortable than ordinarily it would have been if negative actions were injected as a consequence of that. Improving lives, especially lives of those who are vulnerable. God structured human life, even outside of a human race. For us who were born in a cattle kraal, raised in a cattle environment, we knew that out of a herd of 100, there are some cattle which have an advantage, either by physique and can beat out any of fellow cows. If there's only limited water to drink, one will take more water than the other because it's structured much bigger physiologically than another. Now, for human beings, we must know that there are people who are less privileged than us. I always tell my business colleagues when I have an opportunity that you and I are lucky. God gave us a little bit of a talent more than certain people to enterprise, to be entrepreneurs. But remember, we have a duty to help those that may not have been endowed with that opportunity. Which means if you hold something more than what you need, you must quickly look over your shoulders. Who needs help from you? I joke with my colleagues that if we didn't have what we have and we didn't use it properly, we have what we have, we didn't use it properly, God could actually take what we have and give to someone else who is able to extend a bit of that to somebody in need. There's no difference in this office that you put HHA and others, that we must remember that someone, if we don't make an extra effort, may not have a meal at dinner. So even when you're having your meal, remember that someone else may have no dinner, no meal at dinner. So do something. And you hear for us, for me, how I interpret this responsibility. Very heavy responsibility. It is not, as the Vice Chancellor said, you become president, then you use the presidential powers willy-nilly, as the Constitution provides. Constitution makes the president a very strong office, presidency. And if an individual sits in this office, has no restraint, you can actually damage society. But Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, I choose to use that responsibility to save society. To save society. To make someone's life better than it would have been. Such as a kid who could have had no chance to be in school if we did not take certain decisions, such as free education. And see, out of that consciousness, 2.5 million children have gone back to school. I think that is the duty and role of leadership. It is not to make someone's life more difficult than it is already, because challenges are there. But leaders must look at how they can improve the welfare of citizens. Leadership comes with core values. If you don't have core values, you will find it difficult to deliver, even when other resource offerings are available. But the inner you has no core values, you would probably not achieve as much as you would have if you had basically things that drive you as a human being. Integrity is very important in leadership. I'd like to share with this House today. Integrity is very important. You don't need to do certain things correctly because you are being watched. You do them because you believe inherently that that's the right thing to do. Hear that. If you elect a leader in office and they don't carry traits, certain traits, you only realize once a lot of damage has been done to your country. And now you have to work harder to clean up that damage. It's extremely important that the citizens of Zambia understand that especially those you elect into public office come with them integrity, bring with them integrity, bring with them accountability, responsibility. Yes, strong-headedness is necessary because sometimes situations are difficult and the resolve is required to cut through what you call the maze of confusion. But at the same time, the flip side of the coin is compassion. To be compassionate that we are all not facing the same circumstances. Someone has a more difficult circumstance than the other, yet facing the same challenge. Lifting up others who need a hand. I think that's the responsibility and the value that one must bring into public office. I must tell you that, Chancellor and Vice Chancellor, courage is important. Fortunately, God gave me a couple of things, but did not give me fear. I must tell you that it's frightening sometimes for people in leadership to take decisions, especially when they lack clarity on what is right and what is wrong. So courage is required. Fear will destroy even a good leader. They become indecisive. Indecisiveness is different from time required to make the right decision. The two are different. So, I want to encourage even young leaders, do not front fear in doing or making decisions, doing what is right or making decisions. Front a calculative mind, an analytical mind that looks at the pros and cons, but also understands that failure to take a move, a clear move, could cost the people that you lead a lot, especially young ones, women, vulnerable people. Let me say vulnerable people. So, let's be courageous. Let's listen, yes. Let's adapt. We comment on the issue of listening. Again, there's a misconception that if a leader makes a decision after listening, and that decision doesn't reflect one piece of advice that you gave them out of 10 pieces, then you say they don't listen to advice. Icona. The idea of giving advice is that your advice will go in a basket of other information that need to be assessed, analyzed correctly. And then judgmental call comes to take a decision in the interest of the majority. And sometimes such a decision may not favor a small minority. That does not mean that somebody has not taken advice. No. I see loose relationship or usage of that in my little experience. First, even as an entrepreneur, as a business leader, much easier to take decisions there because a lot of things are based on evidential information. But where we are now, sometimes in this role, there's a lot of information you receive, even deliberate lies pushed to you so you can injure somebody who actually is innocent. And the fact that a leader has not taken that piece of advice which you rendered does not mean they don't listen to advice. It means they've considered other factors. And eventually, they've taken a decision in the wider interest of the community. I want to say that the environment in which you operate, Chancellor and Vice Chancellor, is very important. One of the things that I've found extremely frustrating in the public sector is the slowness with which things are done. Absolutely. It's like, so I was saying in my early years, after 2021, 24th August, I was sworn in. Is this sabotage or what? So I'm figuring out, later on I figured out that it's a myriad of problems. It's a culture. In the public sector, the culture is that we go to the office at 8, we knock off at 17, we have worked. Whether the file has moved or not, we've worked. And month end comes, the payroll, you're on it, the bank transfer, so you're okay. This is the big challenge I found coming from the private sector. So over time, I began to start that sometimes it's not because people want to sabotage HH. It's because they don't know any other way of doing things. And that's why, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, this conferment you have made on effective leadership, I quickly made a decision to say, let me help people to make them understand there's another way of getting things done. It doesn't mean this is offensive. Since that's the culture in the public sector, then we then went on to do things such nobody has done before, to say, let's not call work, define it by the working hour or by the working day. That's why you heard me say there's no working hour. Every hour is a working hour. Every day is a working day, right? And let's focus on deliverables as opposed to processes. I had to figure out that very quickly. Otherwise, we weren't going to get a lot of things done because memos fly around and meetings are called every now and then to discuss the same issue, and then they conclude by discussing or agreeing when the next meeting will take place. That's the deliverable. When the next meeting will take place. And time is going. So one has to quickly figure out that this is not about dislike of you or sabotage. It's about a system built over time. But you have to figure that out if you want the job done. I'm just putting context here. And that's why you saw this president set up the Presidential Delivery Unit, set up the public-private dialogue platform. Vice is here. And since we did that, it has fixed a lot of flaws where memos was defined as a deliverable. Now we set targets. Again, I must say to you, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, this is the first time a government is setting delivery targets, because then we can set our eyes on that. And the meeting is only a step towards what we want to achieve. A little bit strange in the public sector, but this is the little, for my sins of the past in the private sector, working for yourself, you learn these things, because there, if you don't do it, you die. The business dies straight. So I can say that when you see the target of 3 million tons of copper was deliberate. And we are saying this year we're working towards 1 million tons, metric tons of copper. It's deliberate. Absolute consciously, it's calculated. And then processes then revolve around us getting there. Such as what? In the mining sector. A lot of mines, when we took office, were riddled with litigation in courts no mining. Then I figured it out very quickly that if I follow the legal process, the first term will end without resolving a single problem in a mine, or resolving problems in a single mine. That's what I wanted to say. I then pronounced, Chancellor and Vice Chancellor, that this president does not do mining in court. There will be no mining in court. For you who were listening, that's all you heard. But inside there were reasons that led me to say, this is the way I'm going to change the way people do things. At least alter it. And then we took out litigation. Just to give you an example, KCM was in liquidation. Liquidation, if lawyers know, it's insolvency. And you invoke the insolvency law, it's all legal. Everything then is legal. Everything you do is based on the legal steps. And a very